So science fiction has been part of my life ever since I can remember. I grew up in a family that was very involved in space science, and they were also huge nerds. So Star Trek and Star Wars were very much part of my upbringing, and also just the real science going on in the background. When I was a teenager, a very smart teacher handed me Ursula K. Le Guin's Left Hand of Darkness and said, "I think you'll like this." And she was right. And it really, I'd already fallen in love with space and with the idea of exploring the galaxy at that point. But her work was really what introduced me to what science fiction could be. That it could be, these fantastic adventures and space battles and all those things I love, but it could be so much more. It could be a way of exploring ourselves. So after I discovered her work, I just devoured my way through the library, and I've been in love ever since.
Donc si je comprends bien, c'est par le space opéra que vous avez découvert la science-fiction. Est-ce que les auteurs vous ont marqué, et est-ce que c'était... Je pense qu'on peut tout de suite poser la question, est-ce que c'était tous des auteurs hommes, ce qu'on pourrait penser d'après ce que vous dites?
Actually, quite the opposite. I mean, there were some, but Ursula K. Le Guin was a big one. Also, Octavia Butler is another just tremendous. Obviously not in space opera, but Margaret Atwood was another writer who was a big influence on me. Beyond that, I mean, there were some male authors, but science fiction is actually quite rich, at least stateside, with female voices as well. They're growing more and more, and so it never, even though I was aware that it was a sort of traditionally male-dominated field, I never felt excluded from that. I saw all these other women's voices, and I looked at them and I said, well, I can do that too.
Et alors vous avez pensé très tôt à écrire, mais si j'ai bien lu les interviews qu'on peut découvrir de vous, vous n'êtes pas parti tout de suite sur des études littéraires, vous avez choisi plutôt le théâtre, une voie plutôt orientée vers la comédie ou le drame, enfin la mise en scène, plutôt que vers l'écriture. Pourquoi ce choix?
I love storytelling. And theater for me was a way to live inside of the story. I could, it was one thing to read it on a page, but when I first started doing theater in my teens, it was, I am living it, I'm building this world, I get to paint the sets, I get to inhabit these characters, and it was just so much fun. And eventually, I did work in it professionally for a little while, but I realized that the stories I was interested in weren't the ones being told on stage. My friends who I worked alongside would go see plays in their downtime, and I would go home and read sci-fi and watch Star Trek. And eventually I decided to listen to that and to shift over to my oldest love, I guess. I still use a lot of the lessons I learned in theater in my work. I tend to write dialogue first and then go through and flesh out the scene afterward. If I have a scene that has a lot of characters, I will draw out the blocking like you do with a scene in a play when you're rehearsing. You can draw out what the set looks like and who's moving where. So I still use all these little tricks even though I'm not working in theater anymore.
Et est-ce que le premier texte vraiment abouti et développé que vous avez écrit, est-ce que c'était tout de suite dans l'univers des Wayfarers? Est-ce que c'était tout de suite le premier roman qu'on a lu ou qu'on va lire très bientôt? Ou est-ce que vous avez commencé avec des nouvelles, avec des essais, avec d'autres choses?
The Long Way is my first book is the first book I wrote, so I got lucky there, honestly. I've been writing short stories and stuff my whole life. I just had to wait a while to get good. That's the thing about writing is it takes a lot of practice. Short stories, though, I mean, in school you're taught to write short stories when you do creative writing class or whatever. And it took me a very long time to realize that I don't really like writing short stories very much. My problem with it was always that I would start to write them and my world building would get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you know, I was assigned, you know, write a 3-page story, and I'd come in with 30. So eventually, I stopped trying to confine myself and just accept the fact that I like to spread out. I like the space that a book gives me.
Alors, on va bientôt en venir à ce qu'il y a dans ces merveilleux romans, mais moi, il y a encore quelques petites choses que j'aimerais qu'on découvre ensemble. Si j'ai bien suivi, c'est difficile pour un jeune auteur de trouver tout de suite une maison d'édition qui vous accueille et qui vous ouvre les bras. Donc, si j'ai bien suivi, la première forme qu'il y a eu pour la mise en visibilité de votre roman, c'était de l'auto-édition. Et vous avez commencé par prendre en charge vous-même la production de votre roman. Comment ça s'est passé?
Not sure how organized it was. So I was working as a freelance writer at the time, which is a terrible way to make a living. And I was also working on this book, and I ran out of paying work and was broke. And I had this choice of either I can finish this, you know, I can either use this time to finish this book, and I was so close, or I can, you know, stop and go get a real job. And so as sort of a last-ditch effort, I started a Kickstarter campaign. It was a very small campaign, and said, you know, here's my idea for this book. You know, I'm almost done with it. Please help me pay rent. And to my eternal surprise, people helped me out, and it was successful. And I always knew that traditional publishing would probably be a better fit for me because I'm not much of a marketing person. And in order to self-publish, you really do need to be able to go out there and promote your work, and that's not really my strong suit. But I wanted my backers, my Kickstarter backers, to have what they paid for. So I started by self-publishing, and then was lucky enough to transition into traditional publishing later.
On n'est pas surpris que des lecteurs qui ont eu en main quelques chapitres aient tout de suite eu envie de soutenir le projet. Cette première publication, dans un cadre de crowdfunding, a tout de suite été repérée par des jurys. J'ai vu que vous étiez dans la shortlist de... Alors, j'ai vu citer le jury de 2015 Kitsch's, the Clark Award, the British Fantasy Award, the Tiptree and Bailey's Women's Prize for Fiction. Et puis, bien évidemment, très vite, votre premier roman est nominé au Hugo, ce qui fait que là, sa visibilité devient tout de suite très importante. Ça a dû vous faire bizarre, non, quand même, que ça aille si vite.
Oh, it's still strange. It happened very, very fast, and I still sort of have sometimes have to pinch myself and say, you know, how did this little book that I didn't think anybody would want to read, but apparently people do, and that's nice. But it's still very. It's very strange to me, and it's very strange in my everyday life. You know, I live in a small town, and you know, I just write my stuff and go about my day, and my socks don't match most of the time. So you know, being given these honors is just very.
Alors après la découverte américaine, ça enchaîne assez rapidement sur d'autres pays, puisque en France, la Talente vous a très vite repéré, a confié la traduction de vos ouvrages à Marie Surgers. Donc oui, on vous les montre parce que vous les trouverez bien sûr dans la librairie, on en reparlera, mais j'ai pas assez de mains, mais voilà, ils ont de très belles couvertures. On aurait pu les projeter, mais vous les trouverez sans difficulté. Donc, en France, la Talente vous a donné une visibilité tout de suite dans la foulée, ce qui fait que d'ailleurs on a le plaisir de vous avoir avec vous aujourd'hui. Je crois que c'est votre premier voyage en France. Est-ce que, de la même façon, vous êtes invité dans d'autres pays, en Europe, invité dans les festivals, dans les conventions Et comment ça se vit au quotidien, tout ça? Parce que vous parliez de votre petite ville, vous devez en sortir beaucoup plus qu'auparavant, j'imagine.
That's true. I did grow up in a big city, but I have moved into the hermit stage in my career very quickly. So yeah, this is my first time in France. It's wonderful. Next year I'll be going to Spain and Hong Kong. My primary publisher is in the UK, so yeah, I'll be going there again. I was on tour there last year, so yeah, it's wonderful because I wrote these books sort of out of a love for travel and exploring. I'm getting to do a lot of that, which is it's really fantastic.